All right, welcome to this week's webinar. This week we got a special treat in the studio. We have Bobby Lombardi from G-Tech, and he's going to talk to us about the G-Racks. The G-Racks is G-Tech's big attached storage solution that is really making some headway, Bobby, and I think I'm going to turn this right over to you to tell people about why it's so great, why people are buying it, why it's an opportunity for our dealers, and also make sure you talk about how easy it is to set up and how easy it is to expand to add other modules, because that's one of the things I think really sets the G-Rack apart from other shared storage solutions. So take it away.
Hey, thanks, Gary. Absolutely. So the G-Rack is a network attached storage device from G Technology. This is a NAS system, and it can start as small as 40 terabytes usable and expand all the way to a half petabyte, so 500 terabytes usable on this product. It's really easy to set up. In fact, we're actually going to show a quick demo of the setup so you can actually see how easy it is to get up and running. The product was created specifically for folks in media that want to collaborate. So the right customers for this kind of product would be those in photography, film, I would say any type of media. You can certainly collaborate with anything, any type of file, but the reason why I say media is that the product is actually meant to be a high-speed network sharing device so that you could actually stream video directly from the G-Rack. So this is kind of nice in a collaborative environment where you have, say, two editors, and those editors are working from the video at the same time. So let's go over the box real quick. This is the G-Rack NAS right here. Essentially, it's a 2U rack mount device. It's a server length. And what you have inside is a full-blown processor. Essentially, it is a computer, and that computer is what's driving essentially the RAID. So what we've got in the box is 12 spinning drives and 2 OS drives, and these drives are configured as RAID 5 or RAID 6. And what you'll see is if we turn the box around, or if you look at the rear of the box
let's
here.
talk about the back panel.
Yeah. So there's a lot of redundancy built into the box. It's not just about the drives and the operating system and the hardware, the server. What you have is redundant power supplies. You have redundant fans. There's redundant OS drives as well. Redundancy also on the ports. The back of the box includes 4 10 gig E ports. So something important to mention about the box is that this is not a 1 gig E product. You can certainly use it with 1 gig E connections, but this has 4 10 gig E ports right on the box. So and everything you see on this box is already pre-configured. So the idea here is that you get the box, you take it out of the box, you don't have to add any accessories to it, and you can be up and running in about 15 to 20 minutes.
Now I could take those 10 gig E's and I can put them directly to 3 or 4 machines for high-res editing, or I can take them to a switch.
That's right.
And with the switch, I can go back to gig E or 10 gig E, and also I can gang them together for even more throughput, correct?
That's right, Gary. Yeah, so out of the box, it's the 4 10 gig E's. You can take CPUs directly to them. The way I would do it, say with a product like a Thunderbolt Apple machine, would be using a Thunderbolt to 10 gig E converter and then taking that directly to the box.
Atto sells it.
Yep, we have a couple different options.
Sonnet too, I think.
That's right, and then we could do that. So you can have as many as 4 devices connected directly to the G-Rack without adding any other cards to it.
Right out of the box. No switches,
right out of the
extra.
box. Yep. Or we can connect to a switch. And we can also add additional accessory cards too. So we have accessory cards for adding 2 more 10 gig E ports to it, or you can pull those cards and actually add SFP plus connections, which is essentially 10 gig E over optical. And so that's a very common thing in existing setups at studios where they may have a switch that already supports
right
that.
out of the box, I can hook 4 machines up, be editing 4K on those 10 gig connections. Right out of the box, nothing special. That is
correct.
That's pretty incredible.
Yep, and the box comes in 48 terabytes all the way up to 120 terabytes. And what we say is, say the 120 terabyte version will say 100 terabytes usable. That just means that it's running in RAID 6, and out of those 12 drives, 2 of the drives are redundant drives, just to make sure that there's data redundancy and that you're safe.
RAID 6, RAID 5, that's up to your customer to decide how
correct.
Paranoid or how comfortable he is with his storage.
That is right. Now, that's all about the G-Rack, what we call a G-Rack server, or the G-Rack head unit. That's the 2-unit, 2U rack space, 12 drives.
The base unit, you have to start with
base unit. But what we also have is what we call the G-Rack EXP, or the G-Rack expander.
Cool.
And what we can do is we can add not just one, but we can add 4 expanders to it. So say you started out with a 120 terabyte G-Rack server head, I can actually add one more 120 terabytes to it, or I can add 4 more. So I can grow that usable space from 100 terabytes usable to a half petabyte usable if I wish.
Cool.
And what's nice about this is that you can essentially add these without rebuilding the RAID. So you can continue to use it for a year, add one a year later, and you're still up and running. You don't have to take the server down to add that expansion. And what's also nice is that you can mix and match capacities on these expansions. So let's say your budget only allows for buying a 48 terabyte head to start with, and then a year down the road or 6 months down the road you want to grow it by 100 terabytes, your expander could be a 120 terabyte version and you're connecting it to the 48 terabyte head. You can actually mix and match.
And one of the things I think is so important that makes this so great is especially as a dealer for your customers, is you don't have to reconfigure the whole RAID. When you add that additional storage, it just sets up and becomes available. And that's really sweet. A lot of other systems, if I'm going to add additional storage, I'm going to have to reconfigure everything, and that could be an overnight process.
That's right. And so, yeah, so really easy to add these expanders to it. The other thing you can do, too, is that we often encourage our high-performance users to actually buy a server and expander for the first time. So the idea here would be, instead of having a RAID 6 over 12 drives, you could set it up so that it's a RAID 6 over 24 drives.
Cool.
And that way you have a single namespace using 24 drives with 2 drives of redundancy. So say you use the 120 terabyte versions, you end up with a 240 terabyte NAS with 2 drives of redundancy. In a RAID 6, that's 220 terabytes of usable space. If you're not familiar with our G-Tech products, we essentially have products for every stage of the workflow. So we have products that connect to cameras, ingest media, go into nonlinear editors on direct attached storage, but also NAS as well. So what's really nice about the G-Tech products, and my point on this slide, is that we make it easy to interconnect all these different types of storage devices. So for example, let's say we're working with a studio that only needs about 200 terabytes of shared storage
Only.
to work with, only. But let's say that this is a facility that's growing into petabytes and actually needs to back up and archive, say, 500 terabytes or a petabyte of data. We actually create a product with our HGST part of the company called ActiveScale, or P100, Active Archive, and the G-Rack actually can connect to this product using S3. So the G-Rack also has protocols for connectivity to other products, not just our own. So you can use an S3 protocol to connect to things like Amazon Glacial or the HGST archive system.
Very cool. And speaking of other things we work with, this also works with all the NLEs. This isn't a product just tied to Avid or Adobe or Final Cut. It works with everything, and it works in a lot of mixed environments, mixed uses. I know we have people who are putting in customers where it's their nearline storage. Some people have it their online storage. We have other people using it for their archiving so that everyone can get access to it. It's great because it's what I like to call it is the most versatile big bucket of bits we sell.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Thanks for bringing that up, because you'll notice that I'm not mentioning any other companies like NLEs or third-party media asset management software. That's because the way the G-Rack has been built, we built it to be a good citizen on a network. In other words, it's meant to work with everything.
Yep.
So we're very agnostic as to what NLE. It actually works with all NLEs, and it also works with all client-based media asset managements, production asset managers as well. So we test all of those in-house, and what we're really testing for is to make sure that the G-Rack plays nicely with all of them, but more importantly, the G-Rack is also able to get optimum speeds as well.
Perfect.
So we didn't mention speed at all, but the head unit on its own is capable of doing 2 gigabytes a second. And so now your limitation really is your CPU and how fast it can connect to a switch or directly to the box. So say with a MacBook Pro or a 10 gig E device, typically a 10 gig E connection to a G-Rack would saturate somewhere just over a gigabyte a second. So it's common to see, say, read speeds of about a gigabyte a second and write speeds around 800 megabytes a second. That's a common connection into a G-Rack. And with a product like this Apple box, that would be through our AFP or NFS type protocols, but we also support everything as well.
That's what makes it so versatile. It's really the most flexible storage on the market.
Yeah, and so one quick slide here just to say on the reliability of G-Technology products. What we use on all of our professional products is enterprise class media from HGST. That's important to note because these really are some of the most reliable drives in the industry today. So I want clients to understand that not only do all the professional G-Technology products have these HGST enterprise class drives, but also the G-Rack has all enterprise class HGST drives when you purchase it. So out of the box, ready to go with all HGST
And when we're on
enterprise.
the 6, the 8, or the 10s, we're talking about the Helium class, which is even more fast, higher throughputs.
Yep.
Those are the state-of-the-art drives in the whole world right now. There's nothing faster than
I would
those.
agree. For those looking for performance, I would be looking at products with 6 terabytes and higher using the enterprise class HGST, what you said, Helium. So it's the 6 terabyte HE or Helium
Right.
drives and higher.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I want to bring that up. So that's saying that the 72 terabyte is really, if you can, for your client. That's
Yep.
where you kind of want to start them, because that's the premium performance. I mean, you'd have to be an expert to find the difference between the smaller and the bigger, but we like to say the first drive is the go-to should be the 72. That's where you're maximizing the performance, the speed, the cost per terabyte. It's a great value.
That's right. So I wanted to have a couple quick slides of resources we have here for our clients. The product does come with a full year of service, so we call it our silver tier. That includes all of the updates to the OS itself and certainly anything that would happen to the hardware. In fact, there's a 1-year software and support included with every box you buy from the G-Rack family. And on the hardware side, every box comes with 5-year warranty, so anything happens mechanically to the hardware for 5 years, that's fully covered. We do offer different plans if you want to upgrade those plans. What I'm putting on the slide here is we do have a 24/7 365 plan. So if you have clients that require service and beeper type service and a replacement part within hours, we do have those plans as well, and they're quite affordable.
And that's real important for our dealers, because everyone's got clients of different levels of, gotta have it tomorrow. So you can get the plan that best fits your client's needs and budget. So, not everyone needs someone to be there within 3 minutes, but there are other people who after 2 minutes are going to start fuming. So it's very cool that you have those flexible and different choices on what kind of extended care plans you can get after the first year.
That's right. And then some other really nice resources we have for you. If you're interested in learning more about the G-Rack and getting into some of the unique workflows that you can do, I would go to our G Technology YouTube channel or just search on YouTube for G-Rack How-To Series. And there are, I believe, a dozen episodes up there now, and we're adding to them as we go. And these are great kind of short 3 to 5 minute videos on specific topics. There'll be one specifically for NLEs, another for different connection types. But these are great informational ways to learn more about the product.
Yeah, we love them. We did a blog post on the Broadfield blog that's got them all together, so a person can just
Fantastic.
watch. What I love is they're small and easy to digest. You might watch all of them in 15 or 20 minutes, but you might not. You can pick the ones you want. They're easy to understand. If you don't have any people who are working with FCPX, then don't watch that one. But you'll see that the basic setup one and the next two, if you can't watch those videos and help your customer get going, I mean, I've heard people have gotten this thing set up in 15 minutes after watching those videos.
That's correct. That's quite common. Some other nice resources we have too. If you, for learning more about the product, please go to our webpage, gtechnology.com, and look for the G-Rack product. On that product page, you're going to find that there's a ton of downloads there for you. We've got data sheets, we've got case studies for you. We have what we call essentials docs, and these are kind of diving in deep into things like the connectivity around iSCSI or NFS workflows. So these are really nice for, I would say, those who are a bit more tech savvy and really want to jump into the nerdy part of it. We provide a lot of data there. So the goal with this is just to provide lots of resources and really help out our clients who want to learn more about
And
the workflow.
just for our dealers to understand, this is a approved and authorized network of resellers. So if you want to carry this product and sell it, which we encourage you to do, you're going to have at least someone on your staff watch these videos, take the course, and there's even a little test you have to take to pass, which in all honesty, you're not going to have a problem passing it. All you have to do is put the work in and watch the videos and read the papers. But it's a really good thing. The reason for this is important is because this isn't a product we want in the hands of bid chasers. This is for guys who are going to work with their clients and get them in the right product and be there to support them. And that's very important. So I wanted to mention that as a dealer. You are going to want to become G-Rack certified. You can give Rich, Dan, Angel, or John a call, and they'll walk you through that whole process.
Yep. And then that's all I have as far as slides go. I didn't want to bore you to death with slides, but what I do have is I have my G-Rack here that I can connect into. I'm just going to take a couple minutes and show you the G-Rack GNAS OS. I think it's one of the top selling points of this product. When people see how easy it is to manage and how easy it is to set up for that first time, I think you're going to love it. So here we go.
Cool. And the one thing I want to mention about this, folks, is The G-Rack is not here at Broadfield Distributing. This G-Rack that you're going to log into actually lives where, Bobby?
That's back in my office, yeah. So basically, we're just creating a VPN tunnel over to the unit. Any HTML5 CPU browser can be used to administer the unit, even if it's remote.
Which also means, as a dealer, you can get access to your customers and not even have to be on site to help them out if they run into some little glitches and stuff. So, Bobby, let's take away this demo.
All right, let's do it. Okay, here we go with the G-Rack GNAS OS demo. When you get your G-Rack out of the box, every G-Rack comes with a static IP. So that's essentially an IP number that you can pop into a web browser, and that's going to bring up the admin login screen. We do this for simplicity. The idea is that out of the box, there's one 10 gig E port on the motherboard is set up as DHCP, and the other one's set up as static.
Yep.
And we give you a postcard with that static number, and every unit has that same static number. You, of course, can change it, but the idea is to get you up and running quickly. Take that number, plug it into a web browser. This is the screen that you'll see. And then every unit has the same admin and password, and of course you can change that as well. So I'm just going to log in as admin.
Please change it.
And password GTech, and that's all I'll need to kind of kick off the OS. So since this is a fresh box, I reset the box back to its factory settings so you can see kind of what that out-of-box experience looks like today. It has the end user license agreement that pops up, and I'm just going to go ahead and agree to that. And what happens next is it jumps in and launches a wizard. And the purpose of this wizard is essentially to take us through a quick setup process. So I'll just click on a theme, and the general theme creates a big bit bucket. The media entertainment theme creates a bucket with a bunch of folders and subfolders for organizing media. But for today's demo, let's just do general. It'll be a little faster. And then for web admin settings, this is where I can go ahead and change that password right away, because we probably wanted to change that password. And then what we can do is also answer a couple questions and answers on password recovery. This actually does help our team kind of with you later if you actually do lose it.
Perfect.
The next screen we'll see is email notifications. So everything inside the G-Rack, if something were to go wrong or you're reaching capacity on the system, a fan is maybe not blowing as hard as it can, or a temperature sensor's gone off, this is where you would set up email notifications. We can take one email, or we can actually take 2 emails later on. We can dive into the settings and show you where that is. And then just to kick us off, we are going to have to create a user account. So can't really log into this product if we don't actually create a user. So I'm going to create one for Gary really quick.
Cool.
And then I'll make your password GTech as well, so we'll remember that later. And I'll go ahead and add one for myself as well, just so you can see how easy it is to set up users. This product also does support Active Directory, so if you do work in a facility that has, say, dozens of users, or users who you want to make sure are updating their passwords every number of days, this can be tied into an Active Directory, and we'll continue to pull that AD server and take these into the G-Rack. So we'll go ahead and hit continue here, and the next screen is going to basically tell us these are the connectivity types that are going to be set up for that G-Rack. We're going to set it up as FTP, NFS, SMB, and AFP. In the wizard, that's what we provide, but later on we can add some others if we wish. We'll hit continue. And then this is just a quick build script. It's telling us we're going to make a big bit bucket called general. We have our notifications currently disabled, and we have 2 users. And I'll go ahead and click on create workspaces. And what this will do in the period, this is all live, so we're not going to cut into anything. This will probably take about, I'd say, 30 seconds or so, and this is essentially setting up this system. It'll do it as a default as a RAID 6, and then once the OS dashboard pops up, this will be up and ready to use. Now, if you're more of a pro user and you know what you're doing around network attached storage devices, you could have skipped this wizard and you could have gone directly to the dashboard and set up the product. And so what the wizard is doing is it's taking this G-Rack and assigning it a RAID 6 across all 12 drives. And that is basically taking a large bit bucket, making just one big workspace with all the usable storage, and creating these 2 users. If we would have skipped out of the wizard, I could have done something like a RAID 5 instead of that RAID 6. Or I can even have done something like make a RAID 5 over 11 drives and kept the 12th drive as a hot spare. So there's a lot of customization that can be done.
Yep.
And so you can certainly do that after the wizard. In fact, I recommend everyone try that wizard with a fresh unit when they have it, and then just go ahead and reset it back to factory settings and then tweak it out some more. So those are some of the neat things you can do. On the connectivity protocols, some of the protocols that weren't included here, NFS is also supported, and we can turn that on, as well as rsync. So we fully support rsync services as a connectivity as well. So as I was speaking there, the build script completed, and the G-Rack is actually up and ready to be connected to. So what we see here is the dashboard. The dashboard is essentially a quick one-screen view, making sure everything's okay. And what we want to see is a sea of green lights telling us everything's running as it should. If anything was compromised, we would then see things like an orange or yellow light telling us that essentially there's a drive degraded, there's something that needs attention. But for the most part, what you're looking at is just a sea of green. And here's where we would see our RAID system. So we only created that one RAID, but you certainly can create multiple RAIDs on a device. And then what you can do is you can quickly jump to any section just by clicking on an area. So notice here we have an area called the workspaces, and that's that big general workspace. That's the one big workspace that was created for Gary and I to share. But let's say we want to create something new. We just add a new workspace. I'm going to call this one Project 1. That's just going to give Gary and I a place to work on our new film together that we've been talking about. So that just, it's as simple as that. You literally just create a workspace, hit save, and then some of the neat things you can now do with this workspace is we can now add users to it, we can add permissions, we can be very specific about the connection protocols. So with the G-Rack, I can make a workspace that only connects via FTP if I wish, and then another workspace that only connects via AFP. So you can actually change your connectivity types per workspace. So that's kind of a nice thing to do. And then once it's actually up and loaded as this workspace is, I can go ahead and adjust permissions. And so you'll see that in my permissions pane, I have the ability to give permissions to Gary and myself. And what's really nice about permissions is that this one screen sets permissions for all the connectivity types, and it also works on subfolder levels as well. Cool. So I can have nested folders all working that way. So the purpose of this demo was just to show you that in a couple quick steps out of the box, we can connect to this unit and get up and running.
Awesome.
Maybe the proof is in the pudding, so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and essentially connect to it. So I'm just going to do a Command K protocol, which is connect to server on Macs. All you have to do is type in that IP. I'll just connect via SMB right now. Hit connect, and I would expect to see a login password. So I'm just going to do Bobby and GTech. Hit connect. And the next thing I should see is just a pop-up with General, which is our General Bitbucket, and there we are. So we're up and running and ready to copy over some of those case study photos that we took earlier for that PowerPoint, and they're in copying. So that's pretty much all there is. The purpose of this very quick demo was to show you how easy it is to get up and running with something like the G-Rack NAS. And if you want to know more, please look at that YouTube channel and check out those how-to series for more information.
All right, Bobby, thank you so much. Thank you for coming in. This is a great demo. We appreciate it a lot. The G-Rack is a great product. You can call your Broadfield sales team to get more knowledge about it.
Yeah.
Once again, I think we might have gone over our 15 minutes, but I think it was well worth it. You give Broadfield Distributing 15 minutes on a Thursday. We're going to teach you how to sell more stuff and make more money. Bobby, I know you got to go fishing.
Sounds
You're
good.
out of here. Have a good one, man.
Good to see you.
Thank you.